Ed Milliband has made it absolutely clear that he won't have any kind of deal with the SNP. So this leaves you, as a government, if you're a minority government, with two possibilities. Either you can simply not talk to them at all, and then as Home Secretary, if that's what you were, you'd be taking legislation to the House of Commons month after month with no idea as to whether you would get it through. So it'd be a real white-knuckle ride. Very, very alarming for many voters, very, very unsettling for the markets. Or you could have some kind of arrangement through the back channels, whips talking to whips, knowing in advance what the SNP were going to do. So which would it be?
Well, you've heard Ed talking about this very strongly, very clear that we cannot do coalitions, deals or pacts with the SNP. There is a reason for that.
But could you have conversations with them?
Well, I think this
about back channels, so that you knew what was going to happen. Because otherwise you won't know what's going to happen. If you take legislation to the House of Commons as a member of a minority Labour government, you will have no idea what's going to happen to that.
It'd be up to other parties how they vote on a Labour programme. That's for them to decide.
That's a slightly different
point. But it's an important one because it is an important one because it's for them to decide.
Of course.
We're not going to have deals and pacts about what is in a Labour programme, about what the content would be of a Labour Queen's speech with the SNP. I don't think that's the right thing to do, and there is a reason for that. Because in the end, they want to still divide Britain. They have just a different ethos, a different purpose of being. They believe that Scotland and England should be separate. We don't. We think we are stronger if we stand together than if we leave people to sink or swim alone. And so in the end, that is a principled reason why we simply cannot do those deals with the SNP. But I'm asking a slightly different thing. Let's take a concrete example. You have some piece of legislation relating to anti-terrorism or whatever, OK? And you've talked to your civil servants and you want to put this through. Do you simply go to the House of Commons, lay it on the table, not knowing whether the SNP are going to vote with you or not? Well, I think this is an issue for all opposition parties.
Of course.
All opposition parties will have to decide how they vote on important legislation. So whether that's talking about Trident, whether that's what the Conservatives will do on Trident and so on, that is about opposition parties have to take those decisions.
But in the end, you need to know what they're going to decide.
But in the end, the most important thing is what happens about the policy. What are the policies that you put forward? What is the programme that you put forward? And Ed's been very clear. This is not something that you can just do those sorts of deals with the SNP for, because we want to govern the whole country in the interests of the whole country. I think, you know, if you're worried about people on the minimum wage, you should be as worried about people in Leeds as in Lanarkshire who are on the minimum wage and need that to be increased.
But to come back, would you have conversations with the SNP ahead of votes in the House of Commons, yes or no?
Well, I think, you know, but you're still trying to, you know, preempt an election that hasn't happened, and also to try and, you know, sort of play games with the things that Ed has been very clear about. Because what are the Tories?
Not games. It's how the government actually acts.
Because what the Tories have been trying to claim is that somehow people in England should be fearful of Scotland. What the SNP have been trying to do is to divide Scotland from England. What we're trying to do is say we, as the Labour Party, want to govern for the whole country, to pull that together, to not play those games about dividing, but to say the only way to do that is to put forward a Labour programme. Other parties can then decide. They can then decide.
I'm not going to get an answer.